So this is my setup. I have my reference on the iPad, roughly the same size as on the panel, which is 15 by 15 centimeters or 6 by 6 inches. It's easy to eyeball when you have them side by side like that. Then next to it, I have a new Wave gray pad, which is a tear-off palette. Very big one. You have plenty of space for mixing colors. And I use some medium in this white glass jar. This is an MDF panel coated with some gesso, and after that I went over it with acrylic paint, a very thin layer, to give it a warm undertone. After that I used a pit pastel pencil to sketch the outlines on, with the reference next to it. And here you see the reference on the left side and the painting process on the right. I start with my shadow parts on the nuts in this case, and also with the shadows underneath the nuts, the cast shadows. The trick here is to just scumble it on lightly without any medium or spirits. Just very thin layer of paint, and you don't need to be too accurate, but it gives you a bit of a map for the painting later on. Just keep in mind you'll be painting all over this later on. Let's speed it up a bit. I clean my brush just by wiping off the paint with a tissue, and then it's good to go for a new color. By not using any paint thinner or water, the next layer of paint will not get diluted and it will stay pure. After having established the main shapes in there, the main light pattern, I do like to put in some background colors already. I like to use grays, and not just black and white mixed, but all sorts of colors which get dumped down to neutral grayish colors. And as you see, I keep it quite thinly on there, so you still see the warm underglow of the acrylic underlayer show through. Next to that, I play a bit with the lightness variations. So in the foreground, it's a little bit darker than in the background, in the upside, still showing that warm underglow shine through. I love that. Now it's time for me to continue on the walnuts itself. I'm establishing some of the lighter values in there now, trying to get that overall complex shape narrowed down. You see a lot of little nooks and crannies on those nuts, but for now I'm just focusing on the bigger shapes, the bigger light parts. Taking it easy, but also keeping it loose. It doesn't have to be picture perfect. Just playing around here with paint and having fun. Now pay close attention here, because this mark will stay there for the rest of the painting. It's laid in nice thickly, and it's an eye catcher in that thing. I really enjoy how it turned out, so I left it there during the whole piece. Just watch. As you can see now, I'm starting to work all over the place. I'm refining a nut a bit, I'm moving to the other one, and there's also this little nut opened out in the front. Starting to fine tune a bit, still keeping it rough and loose. And as you can tell, everything is roughly in the same color. Those accents of colors will follow later on. This is just about getting the basics in there and keeping it loose. Up until now it's still a little bit bland and dull, so that's why I want to darken a bit the shadows. We need to create the illusion of depth in there, remember? So I'm just introducing some darker colors. In this case it's mainly burnt sienna, a little bit of ultramarine blue mixed through there to create a very dark brownish warm color, and also some raw umber at some places, creating some depth, but keeping in mind that I'm just using here quite transparent paints and I'm not putting it on thickly. While I was blending my shadow work a bit with the background, I felt the background could use some more fine-tuning. So here you see I'm going back at the background again. So we just keep working. Put a bit more contrast in there. Just playing around, blending where necessary, but also keeping an eye out for some edge work. Now we want that not to pop a bit on the edge. Now I have a quite solid foundation. I'd like to introduce some more warm tones in there. As you can see, this is some burnt sienna, which I like to put in there. It adds some contrast but also warmth. Same thing I will do with the open nut, the one that kind of looks like brains. You know, giving it more depth, more feeling to it, more warmth. Let's speed this up a bit and just enjoy. You might notice that I'm using a slightly different brush here now. It's called a cat's tongue in Dutch, a kattetong. I believe in English they call it a filbert. But that's a bit softer brush, allowing for a bit easier blending. Here I'm using a small round brush to fine-tune some of the shapes. And you see, also some blending can be done with that. It's just small touches. The shell needs some more nuttiness, so that's where this one comes in quite handy to get some of those nooks and crannies in. But just simplify. Don't go paint all of those in there. Just what you need to get the illusion that you are looking at a walnut in this case. When you take a closer look to the reference picture on the left side, you do see some reflecting shine of those nuts on the tabletop I pictured them on. And I'm just adding some suggestive lines to give that shiny reflective surface a little bit of feeling to it. Not a lot, just a little bit. Here I'm using my palette knife to put an extra thick layer on that highlighting part there. I like how thicker paint catches the eye, catches the light. So that's what I'm gently doing here. Easy does it. This is as far as I'll take this study of these walnuts. All that remains is to sign it. And I like to sign my paintings by using a toothpick actually, and scratching my name into the paint. And there she is, the finished painting. As you can see, it's very small. It's just 15 by 15 centimeters, or 6 by 6 inches, if that's more common to you. I like painting small pieces. You can keep it loose, you don't have to worry about the outcome, see it as a personal practice. And that's also why I started the food paint challenge in the first place. I wanted to force myself to paint one piece each week, whether it be traditional, digital, a drawing, it doesn't matter. Just being busy with it, learning, having a new experience. And therefore this picture also, the reference picture that is available on my Instagram page for you to use as well. So I would highly recommend and invite you to join me in the food paint challenge, where I post a new picture each week for you to enjoy and have fun and explore with. So, and if you don't do it yet, please hit the like and subscribe button for this video. Should there be any other questions, drop them in the comments below, and then I will get back to you on that. So for now I would say happy painting.